experience. Here I have a chance to witness how a strong team of dedicated and professional journalists work together to produce the news for Queensland.
The ABC office is located in Mount Coolton, amid a vast quiet area with a fantastic view of large forests. Every day, the team works intensively with the morning shift starting at 4 a.m. to prepare for the early radio bulletin. The evening shift ends by 8:30 p.m. after completing the evening TV news program.
We moved our office here to Mount Coolton, which is Channel 10's office, 3 years ago because we had a major health issue where we were in Toowong, another part of Brisbane. We had a breast cancer cluster, so it was a major staff health issue and we had to move out of there very quickly and came up here to Channel 10 where we've been ever since. And we're planning another newsroom, a new ABC centre at South Bank in Brisbane, and we hope to move in there within 2 years.
Inside the office, all radio, television and online producers work together in an open space at one side of the office. Journalists sit at the other side. The working atmosphere is exciting with chatters and laughter, though everybody is busy working under tight deadlines.
77 staff. We have a head office here in Brisbane with about 55 people, and we have 11 regional offices throughout Queensland. The regional offices do mainly radio, but a little bit of television. But here in Brisbane, we do television, radio, and a little bit of online as well. So we're an integrated newsroom and part of the ABC's national and international network.
I'm the Chief of Staff for Television News, so my job every day is to come in quite early in the morning and decide what stories that we are going to cover for the midday news and the 7 p.m. news for Queensland. We each have a state-based bulletin. So the challenges for me every day is to work out what stories we want to do, what fits in with the ABC's news values, and how to use our limited resources. We don't have as many resources as the commercial stations, so we have to make wiser decisions about how to use those resources. We do have a couple of bureaus that we manage as well for TV in Townsville and Rockhampton, and elsewhere we use stringers. Basically each day we come in, I organise what reporters are going to cover which story, which crews, logistically what vision we might need, that sort of thing, what components we might need from interstate. We have a conference call every morning that the producer and the Chief of Staff is on with each producer across the state, where they discuss what offerings might work, say from New South Wales into the Queensland Bulletin, the stories of national significance. Obviously a lot of federal politics will run in each state in Australia. Also a lot of international content on the ABC, so we have that conference call every morning, 9 o'clock in daylight saving time and 3 p.m. And from that, the bulletin producer decides what order to run the stories, what sort of stories they're going to run. That obviously changes throughout the day, what international content, what national content and what local content. And from there we put the news together.
The ABC receives many media alerts and releases every day. Based on those notices, journalists are assigned stories to investigate and develop. On some occasions, I follow journalists and the cameraman to go out to observe how they interviewed and covered events. During the interview time, journalists work quick to identify the angles for their story and started to work on their story on the drive back to the office to save time. They appear to be very efficient and professional in gathering news and build stories. Sometimes I stay in the office and use footages filmed by others to write a story. Here we can also interview by phone and record it. All stories filed by journalists in all media are posted in iNews, the software program used by the ABC. This is a convenient and user-friendly program which I find very handy. The language used and the story structure is different for each of the media. Radio news is short and written in spoken English. To meet the deadline of radio news every hour, one news item can be rewritten and reworded using slightly different angles to produce as many as 4 stories to be broadcast at different times. Online is the youngest of the media. The language used for writing online news is surprisingly short and simple. The lead must be informative and short enough to fit into the mobile phone screen as it will be sent to cell phones. The story should be written in a pyramid style without a conclusion. why TV news must have an introduction and a conclusion.
Alright, I'm Elaine Ford. I'm the Queensland online news producer based in the Brisbane newsroom at Mount Cootha. My job is to look after the content on the Queensland news page for the ABC. It involves working with all areas of content that the ABC produces in the news division, which is video, audio, text, still pictures, photo galleries, features, whatever's on there. It's basically coordinating that. I work very closely with the entire news team, so online isn't just this little thing that works in isolation. I have to work with my TV and radio news colleagues to produce the page each day. Predominantly our text copy comes from radio news copy, but of course radio news stories are very short, so ultimately I'm subbing together many versions of things to make a much more detailed coverage of a particular news story.
The 7:30 p.m. news, which provides in-depth analysis of daily events, also has a presence at the ABC.
Well, I work for a national program, and I cover anything of national importance within the state of Queensland, which is a very big state, so I go all the way up to the Torres Strait, right out to the west, or anything around Brisbane. I work on packages that are between 5 and sometimes up to 10 minutes long, and they run on a national program, which goes to air Monday to Thursday. Sometimes I do longer documentary style pieces or investigative pieces that might take a week, even a couple of weeks to put together. Might involve a fair bit of travelling. It's got high production values, we focus a lot on the way it's filmed, the way it's edited. Other times, if something's really happening fast, a flood or a political crisis, I might have to do the story as quick as in a day. And that's a whole different skill again, what we call same days. And have to be in quite a rush, script in a hurry and put everything together. So it's a mixture of between those two extremes and then a lot in between as well.
The challenges are many. First, we have to do good journalism. So we have to have good producers looking at the stories that our reporters are doing. We have to have reporters that go out there and challenge the government and find stories and expose the really important issues that our audience expects of the ABC News service. So we have to have good reporters with energy, good reporters who can write. We need producers who can put together good bulletins using stories locally, nationally and internationally, and we also need to post them online. The resources are also an issue and a challenge. The ABC is always battling for more resources, and we don't have as many resources as some of our commercial counterparts, but we try and do the best we can with the resources that are available to us. But the big challenge is to produce quality journalism for our audience. A radio audience every hour, a television audience. We have 3 deadlines a day, and with online, the deadline, of course, is constant.
Most Australian people have a passion for sports. That's why sports takes up a large part of the news program. The ABC has a dedicated team of journalists to cover sports news.
The challenge in the day-to-day work in sport is to totally be informed, and that means that to be a sports journalist, I've always believed that you actually have to have a passion for sport. And I'm fortunate that as a young guy I played a lot of sport, didn't do much study, but certainly had a great knowledge of sport, which was very useful when it came to applying for sports journalist jobs. And I'm a bit different in that I'm one of the old school that actually went from high school straight into a cadetship. So at 18 I was already working in television, whereas these days you yourself behind the camera would know that journalists do a university degree. In my day they weren't available journalist degrees in Australia, so you tended to get the job out of high school. Now within 12 months I went from a cadetship into a graded sports journalist job, and I think the important thing that I will always maintain throughout my whole career is that if you're not informed, if you don't know what's going on in the world of sport, then when you get to work you are going to struggle. So it's good to know that if you enjoy it, you'll watch it at home and you'll read the paper and get pretty much in tune with what's happening.
It is great to be in a real newsroom environment, more so with the ABC, the leading broadcasting company in Australia. Over my 6 days here, I have learned a lot from young journalists to senior producers. Despite their constantly busy work, they always tried to find a way to help and support me. Moreover, the producers that I worked with are university lecturers. Therefore, they provided me valuable insight and knowledge into their fields of work. The internship with the ABC has been a memorable experience for me.